What's up? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Good everything, good in. Welcome to African Joe lecture series. This is African Joe, and I tell you no lie. Today, we shall talk about another forbidden subject. Yes, I shall talk about it. This forbidden subject has probably not been talked about before, but I shall bring it up so that we can always talk about it. That forbidden subject is the fact that we, as American society, have become unforgiving society. Yes, sir, we have become an unforgiving society. So today, we shall talk about America as an unforgiving society. You may not want to listen to this, but I want you to listen to it anyway. To start with, I am a firm believer that when someone commits a crime, he or she should be penalized. Yes, he or she should be penalized. But such penalty must be based on due process, fairness, and divine justice. But the American criminal justice system is full of injustices and corruptions. It should be correctly called the criminal injustice system. There are many criminals who evade punishments for their crimes because of their political clout or because they have the money to hire top sleazebag attorneys, buy corrupt law enforcement officials, judges, and tamper even with the jury. That's the type of justice that the American jurisprudence have for the rich, famous, and powerful in the United States. That's no lie. And of course, I tell you no lie. The rest of us, the common and ordinary citizens, cannot afford that kind of justice. So the criminal injustice system have reserved a different type of American jurisprudence for us, the poor, minorities, and those who do not have any political clout. For these latter groups of Americans, the criminal injustice system unfairly criminalizes them, arrest them, prosecute them, and incarcerate them for longer periods of time. I tell you no lie. The conditions in American jails and prisons are not always what most Americans understand them to be. I tell you no lie. The jails and prisons violate the human rights of those in their custody every day. And yet, we as America, our American government, have the nerves to chastise other countries like China on their human rights violations when we violate our citizens' rights every day. But that's not what really I'm having a problem with right now, even though I am displeased by such policies and practices. What I really have a big problem with right now is how we, as a society, treat these former prisoners when they have been released from incarceration. It is like we have sentenced them to a life of punishment. A life of punishment. The stigma attached to having been imprisoned is indescribable. I tell you no lie, it's indescribable. Our society continues to treat these former prisoners as outcasts. The job market discriminates against them. They are denied licenses by certain government agencies. They are not allowed to have any association with anyone who has a criminal record. They are denied services that they would otherwise be eligible for. And they are not allowed to vote. That, homies, I have a big problem with. I tell you no lie. I have a big problem with that. The United States is the only country in the Western world that I am aware of which continues to penalize and demonize former prisoners after they've been released from incarceration and for the rest of their lives. Unless, of course, they have been fully pardoned. That should not be America. That is not fair at all. And I tell you no lie. I tell you no lie at all. People are sent to prisons and jails to pay for the crimes that they have committed. And the United States has the longest prison and jail sentences than any other country in the world. So when they have completed these long sentences in prisons and jails, they should be considered to have fully paid for their crimes. Any further punishment for the rest of their lives by society or the government is a travesty of justice. Yes, sir, it's a travesty of justice. I tell you no lie. Therefore, I propose that immediately after the person is released from prison and jail, or from probation or supervised release, the government should automatically restore all the person's rights, including the rights to bear arms. Unless, of course, that person had previously committed a crime with a deadly weapon. Unless we immediately restore the rights upon release from incarceration or completion of their parole or probation sentence and help them become productive citizens in our society, there will be no true healing, there will be no true rehabilitation of offenders. And we will not be able to solve the crimes epidemic in the United States. This is my recommendation to the President of the United States, the United States Congress, and the Justice Department. If they are truly serious about solving crimes. Well, this has been African Joe, and I tell you no lie. Thank you very much, and thank you very much indeed.